Mom's voice sliced through the room next. Your sister used your cancer fund for her wedding dress. You weren't going to survive anyway. I didn't flinch, didn't blink, just picked up my phone and said softly, "Cancel every transaction under that name." The woman on the line hesitated. "And you are?" "The patient who paid for every stitch she's flaunting," I replied, and hung up. "Your sister used your cancer fund for her wedding dress. You weren't going to survive anyway." Mom's voice sliced through the air like a blade dressed in calm cruelty. The room froze. Dad swirled the ice in his glass, avoiding my eyes. Lila, my sister, sat across the table, glowing in her brand-new diamond earrings, smirking like she'd earned the right to wear my pain. For a second, I thought I misheard. Then the words settled, heavy and bitter. I didn't flinch, didn't blink. I just reached for my phone and said softly, "Cancel every transaction under that name." The woman on the line hesitated. "And you are?" "The patient who paid for every stitch she's flaunting," I said, and ended the call. Dad's chair scraped violently against the floor. "You think you can embarrass this family again, John?" Again. That word. Like all my quiet endurance was just a string of disgraces they'd rather forget. My name's John Calder, 27. The kind of son families remember only when they need something fixed. I was the one who filled tax forms when Dad couldn't. The one who drove Mom to her hospital checkups when Lila was too busy. And when cancer came, I didn't ask for help. I just sold my car, emptied my savings, and called it hope. But apparently, that hope turned into silk and lace, wrapped around my sister at the altar. They say silence makes you weak. They've never met the kind of silence that learns, watches, and remembers. And I remembered everything. The family. Dad, Martin Calder, 56, once strong, now bitter. Thinks yelling is leadership and guilt is a parenting tool. He talks about sacrifice, but hasn't worked a full month since 2020. Mom, Diane, 54. She carries her guilt like perfume, just enough to look like she cares. Always the peacekeeper, never the truth teller. Sister, Lila, 25. A face that gets sympathy and hands that take advantage of it. She learned early that crying gets you what honesty never could. That night, the house was glowing with post-wedding chaos. Boxes, champagne, flowers wilting in vases. I sat at the dining table while Dad shouted, "You could have handled this privately, John. You make everything about you." I laughed once. My cancer fund was about me. Until you turned it into her runway. Lila rolled her eyes. "You're always dramatic. You weren't even sure you'd live," Mom whispered. "Lila." But didn't finish. She never finished. That's how she survived in this house. By ending her sentences before they meant something. I leaned forward, elbows on the table. "Tell me something, Dad. When she took that money, did you even try to stop her?" He scoffed. "We did what we had to. Family helps family." I smiled faintly. "Right. Unless it's me." He slammed his hand down. "Don't start your self-pity nonsense again. Self-pity. The word hit like a bruise reopening. They called it self-pity when I cried after chemo. Self-pity when I couldn't get out of bed. Self-pity when I worked overtime to pay their bills while hiding my diagnosis. I looked at them, my family, and realized they only loved me when I was useful. Lila crossed her arms. "You should be happy I even thought of you at my wedding." That was it. The line. The one that cracked my patience. "Happy?" I said. "I'm thrilled, Lila. You finally got to wear the dress Hope paid for." Her face went red. "You're disgusting." "No," I said quietly. "Just done." Dad stood up, his drink trembling in his hand. "You think you're some hero. You've been a burden since day one." I laughed, softly, almost sadly. "I paid off your car, covered your business loan, skipped my own college because you said we couldn't afford 2 tuitions. But sure, I'm the burden." Mom gasped. "John, how do you know about that?" "Because I was there when you transferred my scholarship savings to Lila's account." Her eyes went glassy. "We needed to give her a chance." And I didn't. She looked away. That was always her answer, looking away. My voice was calm but sharp now. You raised her to believe the world owes her, and you raised me to believe I owe the world, Dad muttered. You're twisting things. No, I said. I'm finally straightening them. The silence after that was the loudest sound in the room. It was December. I was 18. Dad's truck broke down in a snowstorm. I walked 6 miles with a gas can, numb fingers, and frozen boots, only to hear him later tell a neighbor that Lila saved him. I didn't correct him. I just smiled. That was my role. Invisible savior. When I got diagnosed, I told Mom quietly in the kitchen. She sighed and said, "We can't handle another bill right now, John." Another. Like I was a purchase she regretted. So I handled it myself. Treatments, appointments, fear. They posted family photos at the beach while I sat in a clinic with a stranger holding my hand through chemo. And still, I forgave them. Because that's what love looked like in this house. One person breaking while everyone else smiled for pictures. Back in the present, I took a folder from my jacket and placed it on the table. "What's that?" Dad asked. "Proof," I said. The fund wasn't just used for the dress. $14,000 were transferred to your company 2 weeks before it went bankrupt. And Lila sent $3,000 to a travel agency for her honeymoon. Lila's mouth dropped open. You were spying on me? No, I was watching my own money disappear. Dad's voice rose. You went through my accounts? No, I said coldly. I went through mine. You just helped yourself. Mom whispered, trembling. John, please, don't ruin us like this. I stared at her. You already did. I'm just showing you the mirror. Chaos. Lila yelling. Dad threatening. Mom crying. I stood there, arms crossed, calm, terrifyingly calm. You wanted silence, I said. You've had it for years. Tonight, you get truth. Lila screamed, You're sick! I smiled faintly. Not anymore. Dad pointed at the door. Get out of my house. I stepped closer. You mean the house I've been paying property tax on for 3 years? The one under my name since you defaulted on the mortgage? He froze. Mom gasped. Lila whispered, You're lying! I handed Dad a paper. Read it. It's all there. I didn't just survive, Dad. I planned. And for the first time, they looked at me not like a victim, but like a storm they couldn't stop. The next morning, sunlight poured through the broken blinds. I came to collect the rest of my things. Lila was outside on the porch, wrapped in her wedding robe, mascara streaked like guilt. You destroyed everything, she said. I paused by the gate. I didn't destroy it, Lila. I just stopped pretending it wasn't already rotten. Mom came out, quiet. John, I should have stopped it. I should have said something. I looked at her with tired eyes. You always say that, after it's too late? She nodded slowly, tears slipping down her face. I'm sorry, son. For what? I asked softly. The lies? The silence? Or for realizing I never really had a family? She couldn't answer. She just cried quietly as I walked to my car, the morning air sharp and clean. For the first time, I didn't feel small. Just free. 6 months later, I live by the coast now. Small apartment, quiet mornings, honest peace. My treatment ended. My strength returned. And the silence I once feared now feels like home. Sometimes I still wake up hearing Dad's voice in my head, calling me a burden. But then I look around, see the light, the calm, and realize I'm finally carrying nothing that isn't mine. Lila sent me one letter. I thought you'd die. I never thought you'd live to make me see myself. I didn't reply. Forgiveness doesn't always need an audience, I whispered to the sea one evening. For the first time, I don't carry their weight anymore. The waves didn't answer. They just agreed. People say family is everything. But what if family is the reason you almost lost yourself? I didn't burn bridges. I just stopped crossing the ones that always led to pain. If you were in my place, would you forgive, or would you walk away forever? Tell me in the comments. Your story matters here. Like if you've ever been the quiet one in your family. Subscribe for more true-hearted stories, for those who've been hurt, survived, and learned to breathe again.